Well, hello, and good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. It's nice to see everyone here. Hey, Shield and Turtle, and always grateful. And Alice, hey, congratulations on the good news on Daniel. That was wonderful. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thrilled for you guys. Oh, hey, how you doing there? Oh, Dark Side, how are you? Quiz, I insist. You must sign autographs. I mean, hey, how often do I have the High Inquisitor in my chat? Look at that. With a minion. You must sign autographs. I insist. Hi, Wrecker. It's nice to see you here too. Well, I hope you're all here and ready for another update this week. There've been quite a few. You know, if truth be told, I'm going to do this update, and then if as the week has unfolded the way it has, either Manson or Woods' side will definitely file briefs tonight to give me something else to talk about tomorrow. Because Monday I did Chad Daybell. Monday night, Lori Vallow Daybell filed a whole bunch of papers on that. And then today I found out that yesterday I did Masterson, and lo and behold, they came out with more from the prosecution on who they would be having for witnesses and all. They made a whole big muckus on the social medias that I gotta follow up on too. So let's see what Manson does. Like, let me give you the update to date anyway. You may have saw either on Twitter or the socials or even in the news that the LA County Sheriff's Department, they are still investigating. They have opened up anew the district attorney investigation into the allegations against Manson. Now, that doesn't mean that they have anything. That just means that somebody came forward with something new to look into it, or they found something to open it up with. They're not really saying much else about it. They're not saying whether they think it credible or not. They're not saying who or what. They're just saying they're looking into it. And mostly the rumor is, or speculation, and I clearly say this as speculation. This is only coming from speculation and opinion, is that it's the pressure. It's the pressure from the other side about nothing being done about the allegations criminally, that they have to dot their I's and cross their T's. And you really can't blame them. I mean, that's the world we live in today, right? You know, everybody always has an opinion about what you're doing and telling you how to do your job. Well, that's what I think is going on there. So we'll wait for more updates on that, but that's all there is about the investigation. But what matters more to me right now, and what I want to tell you all about, is the legal case. Now, there are several legal cases, civil cases, in regards to Marilyn Manson, aka Brian Warner. The one I'm going to talk about today is the one he filed. The one he filed against Evan Rachel Woods and Ilya Gore. Okay, Ilma Gore. He filed against both of them because they did co-create and do Phoenix Rising. And there were allegations made in there that were horrific. There was a whole press campaign that was done against Brian Warner, Marilyn Manson, in regards to it. There's been a lot of talk. They've been making some pretty huge claims. And his lawyers, his very good lawyer, King, has been pushing back in depositions. They filed motions, as did, you may have read that Illma Gore and Evan Rachel Woods filed separate anti-SLAPP motions against this lawsuit that was filed in March by Brian Warner against them for defamation of character and wrongful accusation, and also for false reporting and obstructions, of things. You've heard, as we reported in previous episodes of this series and in other YouTube channels all over, it's been everywhere, about the FBI letter that Evan Rachel Woods used in her own custody issues with the father of her child, that has been speculated and stated, informally stated, to be false, created by either Ilma or Rachel or a combination of the two. There's been actually depositions filed in regards to that, statements issued forward, and the actual person that they named to be the FBI agent has made a brief statement to say that they made no such claims. That's damning. That's damning. Last time we were here on Marilyn Manson, we also reported that the young woman who is claimed to be the groupie in the movie, that is supposedly dead or had all these things done to her, as stated by Evan Rachel Woods. Um, she actually came forward and said, I wasn't a minor. I didn't do anything against my will. The whole thing was play acting. And they never even spoke to me. How could they speak for me in a lawsuit when they never even spoke to me? Now that's damning. To say that the woman was underage, for one, and then have the woman come and say, no, I was 20 or 21 at the time. And then to say that all this stuff acted against her will, she's like, no, I'm an actress. I knew the part. It was all scripted out. We actually rehearsed. Hmm, that's damning. Now that's damning. Not good at all. Hey, Liam, welcome. Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a lot in this that doesn't look good, but there's some actual things that happened recently that aren't the best for Brian Warner's case. They don't really toss it aside, but they don't make it as strong as it was. When all of that came out, all of those statements came out from King about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it looked damning that this would just get tossed aside. It really did, because there was all the accusations that Evan Rachel Woods was making and Illma Gore were making. People were coming forward and saying, hell, you're not going to be able to prove that because of this. Like, they were putting evidence right out there to say, don't go there because you're not going to win on that. Especially when the person you're claiming had things done against them comes out and say, nothing happened to me against my will. That's not it. They don't know what they're talking about. And then states, they never even talked to me. How do they know? Kind of put some real shade there, on some doubt there on what the other side is talking about. I mean, you can't just toss accusations around without backing things up. We all know how everybody feels about that. That's crap. And it definitely doesn't work in the legal sense at all. You know, I'll tell you, not good. All right. You got people coming out of the woodwork now to say, nope, lying, including the father of her child who says, yep, she used that against me in a custody case because she wanted to take the child out of state, saying it was for her own protection and the child's protection, that Marilyn Manson was after her and he was involved in this big thing in an FBI investigation, and they were actually being protected by being taken out of state. A false letter used to try to get this scenario to work for her favor in custody because she wanted to do something. At least that's what it looks like. I will clearly say that's what it looks like. We haven't been proven in a court of law that that actually happened, but since that letter got submitted in another court case as evidence, it's out there public that she did it. It's also out there being disclaimed and being told as false, as it's not on FBI letterhead. There was no FBI investigation at the time that anyone is talking about. Okay. And the agent that is mentioned says, nope, not me. But that's all they're saying. It'll be interesting to see if a deposition comes forward from that agent. I'm sure they will be subpoenaed to come forward and to actually be part of the testify. But hey, it's the FBI. They get to do what they want, not what we want, right? Hi, Space Wolf. Thank you for coming here from Starsky's Live. I love Starsky's Live. It was a good one, yeah? Hmm? Well, hey, Jax. Nice to see you here too. Thank you. So, now, let's see. First thing I have for you is these are the parties. Rather than look at my face, there is Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, and this is Evan Rachel Woods, okay, who is the main person that he is suing in this. But some of the legal activity that happened recently in regards to the partner, Illma Gore. Now, we've heard that there's a lot coming out about her in social media about being a scammer and having a history of not always doing the right thing. Perhaps being involved, Evan Rachel Woods getting involved with Illma Gore was probably part of all of this stuff coming out, because we must remember, and I must say, not to sound biased, but prior to Phoenix Rising and doing the documentary, Evan Rachel Woods had nothing but praise for Marilyn Manson. Yup. even during all of her testimonies and things like that prior, until it became aware that she was going to be actually doing this. It was never him that she was speaking of. He wasn't the bomb. She had a lot of nice things to say. So it kind of turned. It kind of definitely turned. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry about the bots. Poor Jeannie. I hope others were there. I wish I was there. He could have modded me. I would have helped. I hope he did mod others. Um, I hope there were more shills there to help him. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, but I'm talking about Starsky's stream. It's a very popular stream and it gets taken over and he doesn't have a lot of help over there. But people need to be decent, right, Space Wolf? Why they do that to an information stream about Ukraine? I have no idea why they got to get like that. It's telling what's going on over there. It's information. It's good. It's a good thing that he's doing. I don't know why people got to be so insane about it. But anyway, on Manson, people get insane about that. You should see the back of some of these videos whenever you talk about Marilyn Manson. There is a big push, like there is in another case that I did a lot of reporting and a lot of series on, a lot of streams, even live coverage of the trial. Remember Depp versus Heard? Well, they're still out there on the Amber Heard side bashing anybody that has anything positive to say about Johnny Depp. And I think the same thing's happening with Marilyn Manson. Now, I want to stay a little bit unbiased here. I will say I'm leaning more towards Marilyn Manson at this point. I know I wasn't from the beginning. I started covering this when the allegations first came out. And there were 16 women telling the same story. And I felt a certain way about that as a woman, about the same kind of things they were talking about. They sounded demeaning. They sounded low. They sounded torturous. They sounded wrong. It sounded like people were too young to be involved in the things that they were in. And I'll admit that in the beginning, I leaned a certain way based on these stories. But then the more I looked into it, the more I started noticing the stories were all linking together, that there was an active campaign, a constructive campaign based on dates and statements of when things came out, how they came out, where they came out, who said them, that became evident. And only the prominent ones decided to come and make some cases. Okay, we've got Esme Bianco. We had Ashley Walters, who was dismissed. We have a case with Jane Doe, who has not been named, that's still active. And if you can hear the dog, I apologize. Well, she's got an issue with the mailman right now. But no stopping that. We also have the other Ashley, Smithline, who's also been in the social media lately by withdrawing her support of the Esme Bianco case. Now, their cases were linked together by the same judge and even the same attorney. And as I reported earlier, about 2 weeks ago, Ashley Smithline fired her attorney. But he was still actively contacting Manson's side and still working on stuff. It's all to do with a deposition that she didn't sit for and time framing and all of this other stuff. She's saying no, he was fired. He couldn't speak for her anyway. And Esme Bianco trying to delay the deposition even more, even when the attorney doesn't work for Ashley Smithline anymore. Could it be that perhaps the testimony wasn't going to be what they thought? That's the speculation, and I say that word, clearly speculation. That is not a legal opinion. Of course, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not even a paralegal. I'm just someone who loves to read legal briefs and finds this stuff fascinating. Fascinating. Hey, Jean. Yeah, Robsky. He always rings twice. Yeah, well, I wish he would stop. He's aggravating the dog. He's really, yeah. She don't like the mailman at all. She barked from 4 houses away all the way till he's like 5 houses the other way. So yeah, till he's way gone. She barked the whole time. Now, when it comes to depositions, one of the proceedings that recently, one of the orders by the judge, and I got this one for you. I'm going to actually pull this one up. We had a hearing on September 27th. And I want to give you the results of that because a lot of stuff was actually hammered out. Okay. There was as I said, the anti-SLAPP motions by Illma Gore and Evan Rachel Woods. They were scheduled to already have been taken care of and ordered on and have a hearing on. That was supposed to be in September, in the middle of September, I believe the 13th. And it had been rescheduled several times already. But what's been going on is there's been just more and more delays happening as we go here. Uh, just they're all filing against. Once those statements came out from multiple people in regards to the accusations that Evan Rachel Woods was making publicly, everything just kind of blew up. What was a SLAPP again? Okay, an anti-SLAPP. Okay, let me explain. Thank you for that, Recker. I forget that everybody doesn't know what an anti-SLAPP is. Okay, for this particular case, the anti-SLAPP comes in. It is a way to say, hey, I was acting in the public's best interest when I said this nasty thing about somebody, because they needed to know about it. It's in everybody's best interest. And that's my First Amendment right, to protect them. They wanted to be protected speech. And they're clearly talking about the documentary Phoenix Rising and all that was said there. Okay, the anti-SLAPP is not going to protect them from other things that happened outside of that scenario. Okay, but the anti-SLAPP is when, you are a public figure or you were doing something in the good of the public. And you have every right, because you have a personal knowledge about something, and you're going to warn people, or you're going to make it in the public's best interest that they know about it. In other words, it needed to be out there. Okay. Now, this doesn't really apply that well here, except for if it's true. Now, we all know with defamation, um, especially with public figures, it's very hard to prove. We saw a momentous thing happen in the Depp trial, because that mountain was surely hard to climb, to prove malice, to prove that there was intent to defame him, to prove that they knew it wasn't true and said it anyway. These are the things you got to prove in defamation, and you have to prove monetary loss when you've got two public figures. Okay. LA is a little bit different with their anti-SLAPP. Mm-hmm. No, Robsky, a slap is not what you get when you forget your anniversary. Not this way, anyway. An anti-SLAPP is a bunch of pretty flowers. I mean, that is a wonderful scenario for married people, but not legally. Legally, an anti-SLAPP is like, you can't tell me I can't do it because it was in the public's best interest. It protects my First Amendment rights to say so because I was doing good. Along those names. I mean, that's just like the general gist of it. There's a whole bunch of legal terminology that goes with that, and a whole bunch of other sideline amendments that go with that. But basically, that's the gist of it. They want the right to say it, okay? Because they have a right to say it, because it was in the public's best interest, you know. Grace, you can if you find any in the chat, but I have a lot of nice people here, so let's not do that, okay? Like, there's nobody here to do that to. You'll have to go to other chats to do that. But anyway, I'm telling you. But anyway, this motions that happened just last week on the 27th. Okay, there was a hearing. There are hearings on the motions because, plaintiff being Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, he really wanted to do some limited discovery based on all, there was so much coming out. Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore were coming out saying all this stuff about the groupie movie, about all this stuff that happened in Phoenix Rising. They're saying that they were actually coming out and saying he was harassing them and doing things to them on social media that just like wasn't true. So he wanted to start getting the discovery on, like, where is all this coming from, because none of this is true. Like, I'm getting contrary information here from everybody else, and I want some limited discovery. But because they had filed the anti-SLAPP, it had delayed everything. All right. Once that anti-SLAPPs were filed by both of them, the hearing for that has to happen on it. It's almost like a motion to partially dismiss. Okay. It is a way to try to get the case dismissed. So discovery really wasn't going on. It was all held up. you know. Mm. And he wanted to get some of the information now. They want to be prepared. He has an excellent attorney. I can't say enough about King and the way he writes his briefs and how well he covers stuff. He's doing a really good job for Brian Warner right now. Okay. So basically, mm, what they wanted to do was to get some discovery out there. And there was also a request for a continuance of the defendant's motion to strike or permit this limited discovery. So they were going back and forth with paperwork. He goes, I want more information now. And they're going, nope, you can't have any more information because we haven't been heard on anti-SLAPP yet and blah, blah, blah. And they're going back and forth with the paperwork, and the judge decided to answer it. But they decided to have a hearing on all of it at once. All right, but don't get excited. They didn't do anything about the anti-SLAPP yet. Okay. What they did do is address that as far as moving the date. Okay. So they called everything to a hearing. Okay. And for the motion, RE, to conduct limited discovery pursuant to all these civil code sections, I'm not going to read all the pursuant numbers for you. Okay. They decided that he could get limited discovery. Specifically, okay, he's going to be allowed to depose Illma Gore. And that has to take place on or before October 27th. See that? All right. It can take place remotely, but she has to sit for the lawyers for Warner's side. She definitely has to sit for them. Now, they were fighting it because they've got this anti-SLAPP out. They were hoping that everything was just going to go away, right? That would be the hope, right? Like, yeah, the anti-SLAPP comes forward, then I won't have to do this. But nope. She's going to have to do it. She's not going to have a choice. All right. And it has to happen soon. It's happening this month. Okay. All right. The rest of the hearing, as this is from the Superior Court of Los Angeles, and from the judge decided that there's going to be, this is, the judge is Teresa Bideau. I don't even know if I said that right, but she is the one doing the orders on the rest of it as far as the hearing on the motion for the plaintiff's notice to have limited discovery. Okay. And also a hearing on the special motion for the strike of the SLAPP, on the hearing on the special motion to strike under CCP Section 4, which is also an anti-SLAPP. And there are two separate anti-SLAPPs. Like I said, they both Illma Gore and Evan Rachel Woods are filing anti-SLAPPs separately. Okay. All right. So in order for the limited discovery, as I said, they did actually put that forward. They're waiving any notice, and they're saying that Illma Gore definitely needs to be deposed. Okay. But for the anti-SLAPP, what they decided to do, and I pulled up the wrong one again, was actually they're going to actually move that again for the third time. They're going to be moving that. They're going to be moving that until December 1st. Where is it? We had a huge... Oh, here it is. Damn it. Okay. You have to forgive me. Everything went like pluey. You ever like working on Windows and you got all your windows open, and then all of a sudden Windows decides it doesn't like the order that it's in? So it decides that all by itself, it's going to just resize and move everything around on you. Not cool. Not cool, Windows. Not cool. All right. I have enough trouble with this. I don't need them acting up on me. All right. So on the 27th, they had that motion. And like I said, definitely Illma Gore is going to have to sit for a deposition. Okay. But they go into a little bit about the history here. Okay. So basically on the history, on March 2nd, Brian Warner, aka Marilyn Manson, filed his defamation case against Evan Rachel Woods and Ashley Gore, aka Illma Gore. Okay. Yeah, Mrs. Cassandra, Windows decided to be a potato. Like they're in competition with my Chromebook right now. Okay. Now, after that was filed on March 2nd, along come, Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore, and they both file on April 28th special motions to strike portions of the plaintiff's complaint. Only portions, because remember, there are other things that they did besides Phoenix Rising that are involved in this case. The FBI letter, or the organizing of women in a what he claims to be an organization of a PR campaign against him, um, falsifying accusations and whatnot, that happened in February of 2021, I believe. Yeah, came out and just spoke out against him, organized and everything. Everybody just saying he was an abuser. He attacked them, assaulted them, tortured them in some cases. Okay. They have moved it. They were scheduled it over and over again. There was going to be a notice that there was going to be a hearing on January 31st of 2023. That came through in July. But then there was all these special hearings. I mean, basically all this is talking about is all of the requests that came through and everything that was going to be due. There are so many objections going back and forth, and I'm just going to scroll here through you can see, because, in the allegations for the complaint, the plaintiff alleges, among other things, that, they're talking about whether or not they were in a romantic relationship during the whole thing, when she got involved with Illma Gore and how things progressed. And all of a sudden these charges kept coming out. But here's the part that can't get dismissed by the anti-SLAPP. Plaintiff further alleges that for at least the last 2 years, defendants have secretly recruited, coordinated, and pressured prospective accusers to emerge simultaneously with allegations of rape and abuse against the plaintiff. Plaintiff also alleges that defendants impersonated an agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation by forging and distributing a fictitious letter from the agent to create the false appearance that plaintiff's alleged victims and their families were in danger, and there was a federal criminal investigation of plaintiff ongoing. Plaintiff alleges that Wood submitted the FBI letter in a California custody proceeding, using it as evidence for why she should be able to move her son to Tennessee. That is well documented in briefs and filed with the court already. Okay. Plaintiff Brian Warner also alleges that defendants provided checklists and scripts to prospective accusers listing the specific alleged acts of abuse that they should claim against the plaintiff, and that defendants made false statements to prospective accusers, including that plaintiff filmed the sexual assault of a minor. Now that they're talking about the groupie film video. Specifically, plaintiff alleges that Gore had conversations with prospective accusers in which she claimed that a 1996 short film made by plaintiff called Groupie depicted child abuse and child pornography. Now, the actress in that film has come out and said that she was 20 at the time and that it was scripted and nothing happened. Like, they're documenting very well the stuff outside of the anti-SLAPP. Okay, now the anti-SLAPP is a mechanism through which complaints that arise from the exercise of free speech rights can be evaluated at an early stage of the litigation process and resolved expeditiously, fast. That word. Okay, so basically they want this dropped. Okay. The courts use a two-step process for determining whether an action is a strategic lawsuit against public participation or a SLAPP. Okay. First, the court determines whether the defendant has established that the challenged claim arises from protective speech. If such a showing has been made, the court determines whether the plaintiff has demonstrated a probability of prevailing on the claim. Pursuant to a Code of Civil Procedure Section 42516, Subdivision G, all discovery proceedings in the action shall be stayed upon the filing of a notice of motion made pursuant to that code. The stay of discovery shall remain in effect until notice of entry of the order ruling on the motion. The court on notice motion and for good cause shown may order that specified discovery be conducted notwithstanding this subdivision. They're laying out the case here, or actually in the order, that said, yeah, okay, Well, Brian wants discovery, okay? And they've got anti-SLAPP going. And it says I can't go forward with discovery unless there are extenuating circumstances or reasons that prevail. And she's saying yes, they are. And that is why she is allowing him to depose Illma Gore, because of the other things involved outside of the protected free speech. Okay. The FBI letter is not protected free speech. Okay. Organizing a conspiracy against someone to defame them is not protected free speech. All right. So there are things inside this case, the way he filed it, that protect him from it all being dismissed because of the anti-SLAPP. The only thing that's going to be dismissed is going to be the allegations from Phoenix Rising. Okay, everything about that whole thing being a hit piece, his ability, if he wins this, to actually go after the whole company, everybody involved, maybe the proceeds, who knows? They're actually trying to get that whole part removed in under the free speech part, protected free speech for the anti-SLAPP. Okay. In Wood's anti-SLAPP motion, she is trying to get the FBI letters stricken. Okay. She said that Wood's communication with other victims should be stricken, and that because of the alleged defamation should be stricken. In Gore's special motion to strike, okay, Gore asserts that plaintiff's claim based on Gore's alleged statements related to plaintiff's groupie video and Gore's communication with victims should be stricken. How they can claim that those things all should be stricken based on their false information on it when there's counter information against it, I don't know. I don't think those parts are going to hold up very well at all. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. What I'm getting back from those that I've asked in the legal field about this is that with the limited discovery being allowed for the deposition of Illma Gore, that is a positive. But actually sticking to waiting until the anti-SLAPP is actually heard on December 1st means that there is jeopardy that part of this could get dismissed. There is that she's actually considering some of the anti-SLAPP information. The groundwork that's laid out here by the judge does say that she's taking everything into consideration. In support of his cause of action for defamation, plaintiff alleges that Gore falsely stated to persons other than plaintiff that during the filming of Groupie, the actress in the video was a minor and that the actress was dead. Plaintiff alleges that Gore understood the statements to refer to Brian Warner and specifically to mean that Brian Warner's role in the making of Groupie as a child pornography was criminal. Indeed, she stated that Groupie was evidence of a felony and that plaintiff would be indicted would be indicted as a result. Now, those are strong allegations there. Now, if they have witnesses that actually came forward with that, I don't believe that they would put this in. King is not known to put actual quotes and words into depositions and things that he can't back up with statements. And he did provide several statements that backed it up. The actress, for one. Okay, so they must have others that Illma Gore spoke to in regards to this that are going to testify to it. And I think that's why the judge is allowing the deposition of her, because of the other statements that came forward that King provided, showing that there was good cause that they may be just, making these claims out of turn. Okay. Now, we have here again all about the FBI letter that I told you about already. I'm not going to go reading too much more into that. But there is a big thing here. I want to be mentioned that the actual putting forth of that FBI letter is forgery, which makes it an illegal act. This would actually make her motion to strike fail under the first prong of anti-SLAPP because you can't have done anything illegal in regards to such. It's messy. Would you say? Messy, messy, messy? Hey, Juju. Welcome. I'm telling you, it gets messy because, you're going to actually forge the signature of an FBI agent. You're going to make false claims about an FBI investigation. You're going to put forward to a court a document claiming it's from the FBI, and it's not even on the FBI letterhead. But, it was family court. They accepted everything. Not that it did her any real good there. Her son's father is actually coming out. He doesn't say anything horrible about Evan Rachel Woods, but he is sticking to the facts on what happened, why it happened, that she was using it to manipulate the court in her favor. He does admit that. Also, Gore's anti-SLAPP does not address the FBI letter. So, in other words, she's open to discuss that in deposition, okay? Because she didn't list it in hers, so she's going to be deposed about it before the anti-SLAPP gets heard in December. So that deposition has to happen before October 27th. Wood is claiming, as the defendant, that the plaintiff has no admissible evidence to substantiate his allegations that Wood engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct by pressuring multiple women to make false accusations against the plaintiff. The elements of a cause of action for intentional infliction of emotional distress are outrageous conduct by the defendant, intention to cause or reckless disregard of the probability of causing emotional distress, severe emotional suffering, and actual and proximate causation of the emotional distress. Now, she's trying to say that she didn't really do anything, but here's the thing. If they can prove that FBI letter is false, isn't that already enough there? She tried to convince a court that Brian Warner was harassing her because he was in an investigation and she was a witness and being protected. That's a huge allegation, and that just disclaims everything she's saying right there. They proved that letter false, and she actually submitted it to a court. She actually didn't care what anybody thought about Brian Warner at the time, did she? Did she? Mm-mm. They are also stating that they have no evidence in regards to the things about the outrageousness and the improvement. But we did see this in a filing by King. We saw notes. We saw a checklist. We saw conversations. We also recently have statements from Ashley Smithline. Ashley Smithline has submitted her texts to social media that say things like she was pressured. She was pressured to say and do certain things. Now, she hasn't said that under oath yet. This is all out there in social media. Like, a lot of this trial is being put out into social media before it even gets to the trial basis or submitted into the court, which I don't really think is a good thing. I mean, because it can really taint things and make things go a certain way. But it's a civil case. So currently, this kind of stuff's going to happen. Both sides are leaking stuff everywhere. Okay, and King specifically, the way he filed his last motions and his last declarations and statements, he wanted it out there. He wanted it out there that in regards to this anti-SLAPP, there was plenty to go forward as to why it should not be held up. That there were people going to come forward and testify against individual parts of it. All right, but on the other side, there's a definite push that Brian is an abuser and that everybody's just sitting behind him and they're trying to let him get away with it. I mean, that's really what they're out there pushing on social media. It's rather disgusting on both sides, actually, that it's being tried that way. I would much rather they wait and get before the judge, but hey, what can you do? All right. So in conclusion for these, all right, based on the foregoing, plaintiff's motion to conduct limited discovery pursuant to Code of Civil Procedures, Section 425.16, again, Subdivision G, it is granted in part and denied in part. The court finds that plaintiff has established good cause to conduct only the requested discovery set forth on page 4 of Appendix A to plaintiff's motion concerning the claim issues of state of mind, intent, and actual malice of Illma Gore. That deposition of, and this is all handwritten by the judge here, the deposition of Ms. Gore will take place will take place on or about or before October 27, 22. The deposition may take place remotely. The court continues the hearing on Gore's special motion to strike to December 1st of this year, okay, and gives the time and date. And the opposition must be filed on or before November 15th. And the reply to fixed and then would be on and before November 22nd. All right. And they're going to send copies are to be delivered and blah, 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 where it goes, signed by the judge. Okay. Plaintiffs waived notice of this ruling. In other words, they knew all about it. There was a conference, they were all there. They heard, so they didn't have to get documented notice of the ruling. Well, basically, she's going to sit for the deposition. That's the big news. But all the other discovery about everything else is being held off until anti-SLAPPs, anti-SLAPP motions come under hearing on December 1st. So we got a bit of waiting to do. It's going to be a tumultuous 6 weeks, don't you think? But if everything goes like it's been going, I suspect that there will be motions today, tomorrow, whatever, because that's how it's been going. As soon as I get it out there about anything on any of these cases, boom, there they go. They just definitely just put it back out there. They definitely just put it right back out there for me. More. This case has been going on for a couple of years now. Right? It got hot, when he filed. But there are the other cases on Esme Bianco, which is stayed right now, and the one on Ashley Smithline. She has also been ordered to do the deposition for Esme Bianco, but we don't know what's happening yet on that. She hasn't said. I haven't got anything else on that one yet. Well, we will, as soon as something else hits on that, which I expect soon, we'll put that forward too. Well, any questions? I mean, I know there was a question about anti-SLAPP, but any more questions? Let me just check the chat a little bit here because I haven't been. Hello, Commander. Welcome. Hey, Charlie. Nice to see you. Okay. In this, Commander 401 says, is this regarding the criminal Karen who used to reside at the White House, or is this something else? No, I don't think that they resided at the White House. Nope. No, not that I'm aware of. All right. Actually, it's not too soon, Space Wolf. That's pretty funny. The working title for Marilyn's next album would be Anti-SLAPP Superstar. Well, let's hope if everything goes his way on December 1st, that would be a good thing. Okay. There. Let's see. I know. It is a mess. Juju B asks, think any of it will actually make it to a courtroom? No, actually, because I kind of agree with Alice up here too. So this one, Juju, I say no, and this is why, because of what Alice says. Manson has proof of all of the messed up stuff that Wood and Gore has done, and they wonder, and what proof they have that is factual. They have not provided anything. Even when they filed the anti-SLAPP, there were not attachments A, B, C, D, E, F, G like there were when King filed for Manson. Okay. When he filed, he had copies of all kinds of stuff, statements from people, people willing to come forward with deposition, people willing to testify, people talking about conversations they had. He had timeline information. He can prove it's hard to prove that there was actually collusion. Okay. But even in using Phoenix Rising as his own evidence, here are a couple of things I'd like to point out that were mentioned in Phoenix Rising. That the women didn't realize, some of the women came forward and said, and I quote, I didn't realize it was abuse until I met others that went through the same thing. And we were in a support group and we all talked about it together. That could be a good thing for a survivor of assault, but it also could lead to mixed up stories, stories that sound the same, bonding under trauma, when you don't understand it, many of the women say they didn't recall at first most of what happened to them. Now, if you didn't recall it then, but all of a sudden you're in a group of 10 people and you recall it, and all your stories are kind of the same, I think there's a good argument there for Manson that collusion existed. And this group was put together by Evan Rachel Woods and Illma Gore. So his claim has a foundation. Whether he can prove it to a judge and a jury, that's another thing. But he's not talking out his hat, so to speak. It does look sus. Now, I'm not going to victim shame, and I'm not going to say nothing happened to women. Maybe things did happen. But it's the how and why you go through it and how you go through it. And I'm sorry, even if there was anything that happened, it doesn't give you the right to falsify FBI letters. It doesn't give you the right to put false claims on an actress or make claims of child pornography and evil things being done if they're not true. Now, these are the things I know happened, and I could see in black and white, have been pushed back on and are false. So either people are really, really upset about what happened to them and feel they're entitled to take it and cross lines, then I got a problem with that. I'm not going to say who's the bad guy here or whether any of this happened because I don't know. I don't. I don't know how I feel about it anymore. I have issues about consent, about whether consent at certain age groups or whether consent can be withdrawn at any time, or are you really consenting if some of the things that happened about denying food and water or being around others, keeping them in the dark, not sleep deprivation. One of the claims was about sleep deprivation for hours and then the person being willing to do anything. Now, I have issues about whether that's proper consent under such circumstances. Okay. Well, there's also the part that they were all in consensual relationships. They were all legal adults, even if the age was different, 18 to 30 something or what. Um, there, but child pornography, lying about the age of actresses without even talking to the actress. I mean, come on. Putting this forward, I'd say if anything did happen, they're not helping their case with all the shenanigans that they're pulling. If you can disprove this kind of stuff that readily, what chance do you have of a jury believing you? You hope you're a damn good actress, that's for sure. Now, Evan Rachel Woods is, but I hope she doesn't take it so far as to lie on the stand. I do hope that the truth does come out on both sides. Yes. Oh, let's talk about that one here. Now, I don't want to get anybody upset, but this one does bother me. Okay. You're right, Jack. She did make these claims, but I was around back then. Okay. I'm not a little chicken. I'm not 20. Okay. Evan Rachel Woods would wear a swastika. She wore Hitler's mustache as a joke. She made off-color remarks about this stuff all the time. How could someone with that kind of a humor out in public as an actress, thinking she's being so funny and la 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 when he's not around, how could she be terrorized with it? That doesn't make any sense to me. Because the same time she's saying this happened, all of this I have evidence of on film, out in public. Like, is she like that good that she's terrorized on the one hand and she can actually act like it's funny the very next day? I don't know. This is some kind of retaliation, A, a lot of the stories don't match up. And I don't want to not believe victims. I want to believe victims if anything happened. I really do. And I don't want to be known for like always taking the man's side because like that's not true either. I am a very independent woman with very strong opinions about consent and what I will allow or not allow. And I did go for Me Too. I thought it was a damn good thing. When Evan Rachel Woods testified, I cheered her. I cheered her on. that she could talk about it. She got legislation done that needed to be done to protect victims' rights, to make it easier to file reports, to preserve rape kits until people were ready to testify or ready to go forward. Okay. She made the process easier. She helped get laws passed all over our country. I was all for her until I could see that she lied about something. Why did she turn and have to lie about it? What made it so damn important to prove a point that she had to cross the line? This bothers me. This bothers me a lot. And I think it's more about the influencers she was under at the time than not. And that's where I'm leaning with it. That's all speculation. That's opinion. That's not legal. Okay. That's not documented. I think that the other party in this case that Brian Warner is going for has a lot of blame here, who is known for doing shenanigans, who has been proven to be on the wrong side of right and wrong more than once. And that is Illma Gore. Yeah. There are notes in her own handwriting about doing Phoenix writing for the money, about doing the defamation for the money. Come on. Like they're going to do it for money, you know? No, it's not funny. I don't find it, Commander, especially if you're going to use it that you were tortured about it afterwards. I mean, it's not, you know. And I do say that, like, there is humor in things. And I know it's personal to a lot of people, and I do think sometimes it gets taken a little too far. I do agree, you know. But I don't think it shouldn't be talked about. I don't think people can't wear that mustache and make a comment. I mean, they can. That is their right to do. I don't think they're making a personal slight about a whole bunch of people. I think they're pointing out the ridiculousness of some things when they do it, okay, or that they're trying to dance on the line, so to speak. But her finding it funny and then calling it torture at the same time, like it's like she's trying to rewrite history, and I think that is mostly what is the argument that King and Warner are making, is that you can't rewrite history. There's people here that were there. There are people here that can testify to what actually happened. And they really need to think about that. And so when we think about it going to court, that's why Juju and Alice are saying probably not. I think if you're going to continue to be an actress, Evan Rachel Woods, and you're going to continue to want to face, to do good in the Me Too movement and for women's rights and for victims' rights, not just women, victims, because let's be clear, abuse has no gender. And I'm not going to toe that line with Me Too that, oh, believe the woman because, she's a woman. Bullshit. A liar's a liar. A victim's a victim. Okay. And I have the right, woman, man, individual, to discern between the two. Okay. And if you're going to say it, you need to back it up. You can't ruin anyone's life, man or woman, based on accusations without evidence. Should not be done, whether you're a celebrity or not. And you know what? When you're a celebrity, you wield power, whether you deserve it or not. And you should be more careful with it. Because what happened last February to Brian Warner looked constructed. It looked coerced. It looked organized. But now we see some women are making false allegations more often now. Amber Heard is one, and a woman here in the UK is being charged for 7 to 10 false allegations against men. And you know what, Alice? I was happy to read about that case because they're pressing charges on her, and I hope that they actually make that a landmark case. Because if you do that kind of stuff, there should be repercussions for it. There should be consequences. I mean, that's the problem. Everybody's like, if you claim victim, if you claim this stuff, people are afraid to talk about it, because you get slammed. Look what's happening to everyone who stuck up for Johnny Depp out there. Look on social media right now. I mean, I could do a whole nother hour on Bot Sentinel in the biasness of C. Bowsy in the people, or even Eve Barlow, or let's talk the Stafford Law professor, or any of them. The absolute anger and genuine bias out there against anybody. They called us all idiots just for having an opinion. I mean, come on. It was crazy. Yes, I do mean how everyone posted on IG at the same time. Right, exactly. Exactly, Mandy. I know you're with me on this, okay? And yes, I agree here. Mandy says, in my opinion, she knew she would always be Manson's ex, and people would question what she saw in him. So she flipped the script and claimed abuse and spun a story that she was trapped. Once she became an advocate, yes, I do believe that's true, because the two did not coincide. She had to make him a villain, okay, even though she was with him for a very long time and completely happy, and everything she said during that period of time praised that man, okay. Juju says, that is why I am glad these men are putting these cases out there and letting the public hear about them and not just paying off the women. Exactly, because before they would actually you just pay them off. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted the shame of it. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and say that it didn't happen, that powerful men like Harvey Weinstein, yes, he was guilty. He did do it. He actually persecuted young actresses on a regular basis because he could, because he had the power to do it. And he prevented them from coming forward by threatening their careers. Okay. And this is part of what Me Too was supposed to do, give those women a voice, say, hey, you know, it doesn't have to happen anymore. If we talk about it, they can't get away with it. Okay. But it doesn't mean you get to use the ability to get a TRO now. Should be easy. Anyone in a violent situation that is being abused should be able to walk into a court and go up there and get protection immediately without having to prove anything. That's the immediate process. Get you out of the situation. But what shouldn't happen is the way they get to use that as if it's a definitive. No, it's not. The other side hasn't got to say anything. It's ex parte. They don't even know about it when you file. Okay, until you file. And then they get to come forward and defend themselves. And whether it becomes permanent or not is after that. Okay, the temporary is the compromise, not the judgment. Too many people think that the getting of that piece of paper is the judgment. It means the person actually did it. No, it didn't. It means we want to actually err on the side of caution. And if there is anything going on, we want to separate the parties till we figure it out. Rationally, that's what it means. Thinking people know that's what it means. People that actually read the damn statute know what that's mean. Those that want to abuse the system and use it to themselves to do false narrative and actually beat people up with it, they're the ones that are interpreting it the other way. And it's getting damn obvious. It's getting damn obvious. And I do agree. Women and men who use that to beat up the other party, to use it in legal cases to their advantage, to threaten and harass, and to actually put it all out there before everything, the truth comes out, they're the wrong ones. And you're right, Jack. Heard did not want cameras in the courtroom because she wanted to lie, lie, lie. And she knew that everybody had heard her stories before. And she didn't want that matchup happening because you know why she lost that case? Because the matchup happened. She talked too damn much for too damn long. She was having a happy, happy time since 2016 defaming Johnny Depp in public, in writing, everywhere she could, doing speeches for Me Too, bringing him up and saying all kinds of stuff about him and changing her story multiple times. How many people have to submit a deposition 4 times because the information was not correct? Dates, times, stories. Yeah, I'm telling you. This went a little different than I thought. It's right, Jax. It is. Yeah. I was there the whole time. I watched it. I've been following that case since before the divorce. Okay. Mandy says, you mean how all those people are blocking little people like me and my 500 followers on Twitter? So ask yourself this: who's silencing real survivors? Amber supporters are. Yeah, I got something to say about that, Mandy. Yes. Because, C. Bowsy, Mr. Bot Sentinel, I will judge your Twitter account. And if you're bad, I'm going to get rid of you. Well, he did judge my Twitter account and he came up clean in the 20s percentages, cleaner than his. And I'm still blocked by C. Bowsy. Why? Because I support Johnny Depp. That's clearly what I think. And I think that that shows that he's biased. If you look at all the accounts that they are blocking now, all of the people that it doesn't even say they did anything wrong on Twitter. They're not trolls. They're not bots. I'm not a troll or a bot. Everybody knows my name. How am I a troll? Really? Right? Right? Grace, 18% there in blocked, right? I was at 20 and I'm blocked. Yeah. They don't want you to see the truth. They don't. They don't. Yep, see? Mm-hmm. And then Liam, you're right. Once those cameras turned on Amber Heard, she couldn't help but like just pull it all out. But unfortunately, she's just as good an actress as she is a liar. Not really good. Not really good at all. And it was obvious. And it takes a lot for a jury of 12 to actually say, hey, we're just not having it. That was, I did not think that it was going to go that way. Mandy, right? We talked about this all the time. Defamation, that mountain was hard to climb. It was because they're both celebrities. There was no way. We figured, well, maybe one of them, maybe a partial win, but it's going to really be hard. But you know what? All three questions, all yeses on everything. 21 yeses. That's a lot. All unanimous. Crazy. Actually crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was terrible. It was silly. And hi, you got a great question here, and I will put it up for you because then I could do the YouTubey things like I'm supposed to because I'm going to be getting out of here in a couple of minutes. Have you hit that like button yet? If you haven't, why don't you like me? If you don't like me, at least hit the dislike. But do something. Don't be like that. Don't be here non-committal either way. Hit the like, hit the dislike, do something. Go down there. Engagement matters. Okay, it does help. All right. And if you press that thumbs up, Hi's going to give you a special reward. And I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it. I should have read the rest of that before I put it up because I'm not talking about it. If you have liked it, could you please share or actually put a comment on the back of the video if you like any of the stuff that I'm doing about this or anything else that I'm covering, about things you want to see or not want to see more of. It does help. It also encourages me to keep doing it. I mean, if you want me to keep doing it, I need to hear from you, and so does YouTube. Exactly. And if you haven't subscribed, which I believe there's so many of you out there who are watching that haven't, I mean, my views are good. Well, where are you people and why aren't you subscribing? Could you do me a favor? If there's a reason you haven't pushed that subscribe button, why not tell me what it is? If you're watching and not subscribing, what is it? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to get you here, Hey, Ginger, long time no see. Hey, I'm glad you're here, though. You found me. It's been a while since we talked legal. Yeah. It is funny, Robsky, isn't it? And I don't say that word anymore. I say fudge in fiddlesticks, in flapjacks, anything else I could think of. I'm trying. It's an experiment. I think I'm going to fail badly, but it's an experiment. Okay. I know, right? We did. You watch back Mandy and I's coverage on Depp Heard, and we constantly said we didn't think there would be a winner. It was going to be really tough. We thought they'd settle. We didn't know. We just knew that we were debunking evidence. We were putting the evidence out there and debunking the claims like left and right. It was so damn obvious. And we were supporting everybody that was doing it. Everybody that was out there that was covering it. We tried to get all the names out there of the best ones, giving out the information. And we did tell everybody we're not hiding it. We're a little biased. We've been following it too long, and we have a certain opinion about it. And we weren't covering it like legal experts. We were covering it with opinion, like on commentary and even the trial. Well, thank you, Turtle Moves. You did it twice, huh? Hope you don't get in trouble for that. I know it's not as satisfying to say it, but what can I do? What can I do? They're having an issue with it. They've asked me not to do it, so I'm gonna try to comply. Yes, when all that slap and slap talk was going on, the frackin' fudge, yeah, I get it. Like all of that. Yeah, you could be right there. You could be right. I know, Jack, and I am known for the F bombs. Believe me, there isn't a show out there that I do that doesn't have an F bomb in it, recently. Oh, what can I tell you? Like I said, it might be an experiment in futility, but it's happening. It's happening. I'm gonna try. Record says, I don't think anyone expected Johnny to get anything. I believe that the trial never took anything away from the woman. It just showed that it's really an equal ground for both men and women. I agree. It did make me speak out more for men's rights. I mean, I was yelling men too from the rafters. I did streams. I was clear about it. I've got personal experience in my family and in my friends that I know it's true that it does happen to them. They just don't speak on it, and because of what happens when they do. And if we're going to be saying that victims need to be heard, it's not just women. It's all victims need to be heard. And I do think that Me Too could do itself a great service by getting rid of this extremist, and I mean extremist line that they are toting with this women only bullshit, and get on the victims, the advocates. Be a victim advocate like you claim you are. Victims, not gender, because abuse doesn't have a gender. Abuse is abuse. And if you really want to get rid of it and you really want to do something, then we need to change legislation as far as the wording when it says women and children as if men don't exist and it doesn't happen. All that bullshit. People need to actually think about it a little more, a little broader as the actual issue and not this gender shit, because it's just making a divide. It makes people go crazy on Amber Heard even when they know she lied. Okay? That's wrong. It's not a gender issue. It's an abuse issue. All right, and on that, we're gonna. If there's nothing else in the chat that you guys want answered, Robski, you have no faith in my anti-F. Like, come on, give me a little support here, dude. Yeah. I know, Mandy. We all have personal. Mandy also. Oh, she's talked a little bit about that in the streams. By the way, they're all linked in the Depp Heard playlist. All the coverage from the trial that the whole civil suit that went through on defamation with Depp Heard that we covered with auditing the absurd every single day, all day. Some of you in the chat with us the whole time. I'm never had done a live trial before, and I'm actually looking forward to another one if we can find one. I'm hoping it's not this, because a defamation trial, oh my gosh, I'd like to see something a little different. But I do not think it's in Evan Rachel Wood's or Illma Gore's best interest to take this to trial. They should settle with public statements and apologies like soon. I don't think this is going to go well. I really don't. But that's only my personal opinion. It also looks like part of it may be dismissed under anti-SLAPP, the way the judge is writing that order. They're preparing to actually analyze this anti-SLAPP before December 1st. So they didn't want to box themselves in. Good thinking, smart thinking on a judge's part. I support that. They shouldn't box themselves in. They should give themselves room. They may change their mind, but it didn't play out exactly in Brian Warner's favor right now as far as discovery, although he did get a win with the deposition of Illma Gore. And I can't wait till that happens by the 27th. Okay. So on that, I'm going to bid you all a good night. I will see you on the weekend. I do believe we're going to do a What the Actual Fudgery on Saturday night. But this is it for updates. And I might have to toss up a little video if more comes out again. I've already got 3 of them. Or it could wait till Monday and I'll just tie up all the loose ends. I do realize there's more to say on the 2 that I reported on earlier this week on Daybell, Valo Daybell, and on Masterson. More has happened. And I'm sure more will. But we'll bring that all up on Monday. Yeah. And the last comments here. Group grope out from Jin. Thank you very much. Everybody get your grope on the way out. And the last comment here. Record's got a big paragraph here. Let me see this. I don't think the current stats will start to reflect that abuse is probably closer to 50-50. Still more women being abused, sadly, and I don't want abuse in any form, but this is what I've seen personally. I agree with you. I think there's a lot going on with the men, and it doesn't get reported, and the numbers are starting to reflect it. It is getting closer. The last numbers I saw were 1 in 7 for a man and 1 in 4 for a woman. And that's a lot closer than you would have thought, isn't it? Yeah. And I say, thanks, Robski. Fucking great show. Well done, Claire in chat. 'Twas fun. And thank you for the fucking. Uh, Everybody have a good night. On that, I'll put up my thank you for my members, and I will see you all, like I said, on the weekend. Don't forget, we're going to have the Starsky update on the shills on Friday, and then they do pub chat, and then Saturday we'll have the what the actual fudgery, where we do all the crazy shenanigans stuff that's going on all over social media. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you all very soon. Oh, wait, get this off there.